When a legend passes, you remember his name, and you honor him by securing a victory. 800-224-2004. Final score from last night's game in Landover, Maryland. Chicago Bears, 40. Washington Commanders, 20. What a way to remember the life and legacy of Dick Butkus. Now, don't get me wrong. They did not play like Dick Butkus. Mean, running machine, pedal to the metal, ball hawking, down to the nose, physical demeanor. They didn't do that at all. But they did get a victory in honor of the legendary Bear who passed away at the age of 80 right before the game. And you can take a lot away from this matchup from both sides. But let's start with the main thing. Justin Fields can be a successful quarterback in the NFL. Now, what that success means is completely different depending on the spectrum. Every quarterback is like a snowflake. They're all completely different. They have their strengths, they have their weaknesses, and there certainly are going to be facets to their game that really stand out and make them can't miss players, and those that will hinder them in their success. The thing that you can say about Justin Fields, no matter what, is in the last two games, you have seen on display all those little tits and traits that made him a first-round pick and worthy of Chicago trading up back in 2021 from pick number 20 to pick number 11 to draft him before they ended up having the whole reset with all this nonsense. You did see that. The athletic traits, the physicality, the dual threat mobility, the scrambling presence, the arm strength, the accuracy even has been on point at times. You watched all that last night. And was it against a lowly defense that has been atrocious since really week one's performance? Yeah, it was. And this is a team that very well could be 0-5 or 1-4 for that matter, because they played close against Arizona. They played close against Denver. I'm not disappointing in all of that. What I will say is that you are seeing the culmination of what Justin Fields can be when he's on his P's and Q's. And that's a positive here. That's the one thing that you hold your hat on if you are a Bears fan that doesn't want to give up hope just yet. This was a massive win for the Justin Fields stance. And I'm not a Justin Fields stan, but I'm not a Justin Fields hater. I just call it like it is. What we've seen against two lowly defenses is the capability of being a quarterback that does understand how to win in the NFL and have the grit and determination to hold things out. Back-to-back weeks, Justin Fields jumps out to a very early lead. And there were moments in both games where he had to come back and deliver strikes because the defense was failing on their side. You know, as much as we blame him for the interception in the fourth quarter, it was a horrendous throw, but your defense should have been able to get a key stop, and that's more so on Matt Eberflus not trusting your defense when you had a chance to kick a field goal, and instead you go for it on 4th and 1. Like, that's on Matt Eberflus. That's not on Justin Fields. And then in this past game, they jump out to an early lead. They look like they're about ready to contend and walk away with a huge victory. And then you watch as Washington continues to push their way back into the game. You see Sam Howell get a little bit lit. He looks a little bit like Baker Mayfield and Josh Allen. He's not Josh Allen. Let's be real. He's more so probably like a Taylor Heineke mixed in with the Baker Mayfield with that mobility aspect and that mean green, going to actually hit you in the mouth type of mentality. But Justin Fields responds, and he connects with the number one wide receiver in DJ Moore, who is living up to the billing so far in the last few games of why it was worth trading for him and giving up that number one pick. And you see that rapport and that consistency that people were expecting in that jump from year 2 to year 3, and really year 2 in Luke Getsy's offense. In the last two games, since Chase Claypool has been away from the team, the cancer in the locker room, and I put that actually in quotes when I shouldn't, he is a cancer. Look at what you've heard from him during his time when he was in Pittsburgh and how happy that team was when they got a second-round pick in return. He's completed over 68% of his passes for 699 total. My bad, not 699. So yeah, 699. My apologies. 8 touchdowns, 1 interception. And he has a 131 passer rating. That's huge. Not to mention, you're also seeing that chemistry build with DJ Moore that wasn't there throughout the preseason. Speaking of which, with DJ Moore, Carolina is looking for a number one wide receiver. I think you found him. You traded him for Bryce Young. That's what you did. And now you're banking on having to give up more draft capital when you had the guy from the get-go, and maybe you didn't need to go ahead and get Bryce Young to begin with. You could have gone with a different quarterback at 9, or maybe traded up to say like 3 for an Anthony Richardson, or a 2 or something like that. You could have done one of those things, but you didn't. Bygones be bygones. I digress in the situation. The version of what you got from Justin Fields last night is a huge positive for his tenure, but there is a caveat. And I only put this here because I think that we have to be real for a second. The Bears still have the first 2 picks in the NFL draft. Carolina hasn't played yet, and they're 1-4. So they're the only team with 4 losses and 1 win as of this morning. And Carolina still has a shot to go 0-5 with a loss to the Detroit Lions. If you have a shot to draft Caleb Williams and you're firing Matt Eberflus, I think you take that deal. Even if Justin Fields ends up being the right guy and proving every single day that he is showing you what is capable when you give him time and when you actually allow him to do what he does best. I think that you move off of him. The good news is that you would be able to trade him for a high value in return, because there's always going to be a team out there that doesn't want to draft a rookie that feels like they can fix the final flaws in a player's game and thus give them the advantage in the overall deal. I mean, look at Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz was abysmal his last year in Philadelphia, and you still got a second-round pick in terms with the Indianapolis Colts because they thought that Frank Reich could fix him. So it happens all the time in the NFL. That's a positive. And the other thing, though, that we have to say, which is important, he's looked good against 3 teams so far. The defense in practice, Denver, and Washington. Washington, Denver, and Chicago all rank bottom 3 in scoring. Not to mention, Washington and Chicago have given up the most yards this season. So when you do it against a really great defense, that's something I would hold my hat on. That's something I would say, okay, now we're actually watching Justin Fields work. So great win last night. Good for the stands who do believe that Justin Fields is the answer and can be something moving forward. I just got to see a little bit more. And if I do see a little bit more, well, then you have a very intriguing conversation if you're Ryan Poles, especially when you have that number 1 pick or the number 2 pick again. Do I buy in? Do I trust that Fields is only going to get better and trade that number 1 pick like I did last year for a vet, but also exceptional draft capital moving forward? Or do I go ahead and cut my losses before it's too late? 800. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching that video. Don't hit the X button yet. Make sure you hit subscribe to keep up with all of our daily content found on Just Saying It and anything else that we post on this channel. Bye.